I played Donkey Kong Bananza is a statement that would normally make me feel like a special boy, but all I did was drive 20 minutes to a GameStop that had a demo at its Switch 2 kiosk. They didn't even have it hooked up to a TV, it was just on the Switch 2 itself in portable mode. Which, hey, I can't complain, I still got to play Donkey Kong Bananza. But yes, there are demos available at certain stores, some Walmarts have it, I believe some Targets have it here in the United States. I don't know if this is the same for any other country, but I called around to see where a Donkey Kong Bananza demo was playable. I called every Walmart in my area, none of them picked up, so I drove to 2 of them, and none of them had Switch 2 displays up and running, so that was quite a bummer. None of the Targets near me had it playable, so I had to call some GameStops, and one that was about 20 minutes away from me had one playable, and unfortunately I wasn't able to set up my tripod and record gameplay of it because GameStop stores apparently don't allow any recording in their stores whatsoever. I guess it has to do with all the TikTok pranks that have been pulled on GameStop employees, which don't harass GameStop employees, guys. Seriously, their job's hard enough. So for this, I'm just going to show the treehouse footage that was displayed back in April because this is more or less what I played at the GameStop demo. It was a timed demo at 15 minutes. I believe there is a cutoff too. If you get to a certain point, the demo just stops there and you can't play anymore. So I played this twice. The first time being about maybe 10 minutes and the second one I used up the entire play time because, you know, when you're playing a game at a location like GameStop or even at a preview event, there's just a lot of pressure, really, like a pressure to get as much information as you can from playing this demo. It's not a relaxing environment whatsoever. And it was made worse by the fact that I was restricted to the handheld mode, and you know how they're attached to like these ropes and whatnot. They're not made for tall people like me. I'm 6'5". I had to like hunch over or like basically injure my neck to play this game and see what was going on screen. And to top it all off, there was a little girl next to me just laying on the floor for some reason, watching TikToks at full blast. Yeah, great parenting to whoever's child that was. But you know what? Let's just move on to the demo itself. It starts off, I believe, at the very beginning of the game, where you basically have to press the punch button to punch through this wall. And then there he is. There's Donkey Kong, his brand new design, and he's just looking all goofy because he loves bananas. And right away, how could you not just punch every hole in the wall? That's the first thing I did. That's the first thing I believe the treehouse demo did. You're seeing the footage right now. It's just crazy how destructible each environment is. It's not like you can punch these walls into infinity. Eventually there's a point where it stops, but it's so satisfying making tunnels with Donkey Kong's bare fists. He really must have hands of pure steel because punching things is very hard. I don't know if you've ever punched anything before in your life, but it's really difficult, especially punching rocks. What am I even talking about? This is a video game. There's no realism in this whatsoever. You're playing as a giant ape punching through walls. It's all good fun. But the beginning of the game sees Donkey Kong in these mines collecting these golden bananas. Very much just an introduction on how things work here in this game. What I didn't know was how many moves were at DK's disposal. I haven't really consumed much of the media for this game. I've barely watched the Nintendo Treehouse. I didn't even watch the entire Donkey Kong Bananza Direct because I wanted to go in as blind as possible. I know it's ironic because I drove 20 minutes to a GameStop to play this demo, but I didn't want to know an exorbitant amount of information before playing this game. And besides, this is only like the first 15 minutes anyway, but what I did get to play, I really enjoyed because, you know, I'll be honest, when I first saw this game, I already loved that it was going to be a 3D Donkey Kong experience, something we haven't had since Donkey Kong 64 all the way back in 1999, but it was taking an extremely different approach. The main goal of this game is once again punching through everything, every single rock, mountain formation, and even just pulling a rock out from under you and throwing it at enemies. Very different kind of gameplay experience, and watching it I thought, okay, this is cool, but how fun is this going to be in the long term? I love exploration in games, but I love it most when there's like an intention behind the level design, like these walls being placed here for a reason, or these tunnels being here for a reason. If I can just punch through it all, like what's the point of exploring? I kind of feel like that would make the exploration less valuable. But in the end, I knew Nintendo was going to pull this off and make it a rewarding gameplay experience, especially because this is the same team as Super Mario Odyssey, as recently confirmed, and I think we all knew that that was the case when we saw this game. It literally is running on the same graphics engine, it has the same art style as Mario Odyssey. Of course, it is a very different game, but it still has some of those Super Mario Odyssey isms in there, I should say. Even when we leave these mines and go to the first world of this game, I forgot what it's called off the top of my head, it gives Fossil Falls. Like, even the way the music sounds, it sounds very reminiscent of that opening area, and boy, what an opening area it is. When the demo was over the second time I played it, I immediately wanted to keep playing more, but I decided I didn't want to spend 45 minutes at this GameStop. But it did get me more excited for the game's final release on July 17th, because even though you can punch through a lot of the game's terrain, it still leaves room for secrets, and finding those secrets is just as satisfying as it was in Super Mario Odyssey. There are a couple of collectibles. I don't fully know what they do. Again, I haven't really looked into this game too much. There are fossils you can collect, and sometimes you'll happen upon a buried treasure chest, which gives you a map to get those fossils. But, you know, being under a time constraint, finding these fossils didn't feel very rewarding, especially because I didn't know what redeeming them would do. But there is a skill tree in this game that uses the bananas you collect. It would be like if Mario, for example, if you collected a power star or a power moon in Odyssey, for example, that would reward you with skills to unlock in the skill tree. I know skill trees, they're just about everywhere in video games, but here I like how they're implemented in Donkey Kong so far. There was only 2 of them in the demo, that being a health increase, which I just immediately didn't bother with. I knew I wasn't going to play the game long enough for that to make a difference, so instead I upgraded Donkey Kong's strength, and that just made punching through the walls so much quicker and easier. If I could explain this to the young people, it's like when you get a stone pickaxe in Minecraft as opposed to using a wooden one at the very beginning, you immediately feel the difference. No hate to Minecraft players, I'm just making a joke. I actually like playing Minecraft sometimes. Going back to Donkey Kong though, DK Minecraft if so. Of course, the big reveal after the Nintendo Treehouse footage was that Pauline would be in this game, a young Pauline, and here she is in this demo as well. Her only power, from what I understand at least so far, is her singing, which disintegrates any magical blockades. That's how powerful her singing voice is, and the ones in this demo led me to these bonus stages, not unlike the ones from the Donkey Kong Country games, especially the recent ones like Tropical Freeze, although they're way more varied and interesting this time around. Sometimes they lead to battle stages where you take on enemies under a certain time limit. Sometimes they're just static arenas, but another one I found had me use this purple explosive terrain in order to get through these various walls and defeat the enemies under that time frame. It is really fun fighting these bad guys. Like, it's nothing too complex or anything. A simple punch will take them out, but it's much more interesting taking out a piece of ground underneath you and throwing the stone at them, or even better, bombs. I love it when a game makes you feel powerful with its explosives, and Donkey Kong Bananza is no exception here. There's that explosive purple terrain I was just talking about with various blocks that just make it so not even just throwing them at a group of enemies feels good, but throwing them at mountain ranges to make for a bigger explosion also feels good, and uncovering those secrets behind the walls. I really liked it, and I know exploration might not be the most important part of Donkey Kong Bananza, but at the same time, I kind of feel like it will be. That's what I found most fun about Super Mario Odyssey, was exploring every nook and cranny of the map, figuring out where a moon would be hidden, or now in this case in Bananza, there's going to be those bananas. And they also actually mean something more than just level progression. Now there's a skill tree, skill progression to make Donkey Kong even stronger. It's going to make the gameplay loop of finding these items even more rewarding. And you know, when I find out what those other collectibles do, like those fossils, like those coins, it will also make things more interesting in the grand scheme of things. Other than that, I came away from this Donkey Kong Bananza demo even more excited than I already was. Not to say I wasn't excited in the first place, I just had a few questions on how this game is going to be pulled off successfully. I know there were some people who played the demo at the Nintendo Switch 2 experience that also left with some questions like, how fun is this going to remain in the long term, like for the entire game, not just the first few levels? And I could already see, I see the vision basically. It is similar to Mario Odyssey, but it has a more unique Donkey Kong twist to it, taking advantage of his strengths as an ape. He can climb just about everywhere like in Breath of the Wild, but he's not hindered by a stamina meter, but he can also break those walls. It's like Todd Howard. You see that mountain? You can break it. You can destroy it. You can bring it down, act like it just never existed in the first place. Donkey Kong can literally break mountains. He can't move them, but he sure can destroy them. So yeah, I just decided to go to GameStop, play that demo, and ramble on about my experience. I wish I could have captured some off-screen gameplay, but honestly, who wanted to see that? But let me know in the comments how excited you are for Donkey Kong Bananza. It's coming out in just about 2 weeks here. That's really exciting, but I highly recommend calling your local Walmart, GameStop, or Target to see if they have a Donkey Kong Bananza demo. I recommend checking it out. It's very much worth your time. But before I go, I want to thank my beautiful Ferris Wheel members right here for supporting me and my endeavors. If you want to become a Ferris Wheel member to get early access to some of my uploads, then be sure to hit that join button down below. It's only $5 a month. I only have the one tier. But thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye-bye.